Hello everyone, and welcome to the Crystal Lightworkers podcast to aid spirituality and well-being using crystals. I'm Jackie Winters, founder of the British Academy of Crystal Healing, and today I would like to speak to you about the 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th dimensional levels of reality. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day, and today I would like to talk about the dimensions, what they are and how they affect us. We throw these new age words around, dimensions and reality, etc., and do we really know what they mean? So let's just dive into the subject a little bit more. There are many dimensions all existing in the same time and space. Often I speak with beings of light that exist in a vibratory level most of us cannot see, and some of us never have conscious awareness of. However, as more people wake up and expand their ability to communicate with various levels of reality, the more the connection with these incredible beings solidifies. Okay, so let's take a moment to consider what is being said here. Some people talk to their pets and can feel and interpret their interaction with them. Okay, sometimes the interaction is like a body language when the ears go back and the animal is annoyed, or they start purring to show their appreciation, or even barking due to nerves or whatever. But more often than not, the communication between human and animal is deeper than that. It's a connection to a knowing, a gut feeling, an inner sense of. So, is it truly outside the realms of possibility that life consciousness exists outside the human form, vibrating above the density of matter in a less solid form, and that they may inhabit the same space as us in another dimension? I think not. So the way I got my head around this was by recognizing the various radio stations that are all transmitting at the same time, and that I am only really fully aware of the station that I'm listening to. However, that does not mean that it is the only station available to me. In other words, I only need to change the channel on the radio and I can hear other stations of my choice. So when I listen to Radio 1, I am aware that the Radio 2 does exist, but I'm not consciously connected to it. Now, I feel this works the same way in connecting with the dimensions, that crystals help us to move the dial, so to speak, to change the channel of our conscious awareness. And actually, it's no coincidence that, did you know, the very first radio station was in fact called a crystal set, due to it having a piece of galena, a crystal inside the radio that changed the frequency. And that's exactly what crystals do for us. They help us change our dimensional level of reality, our internal radio channel. So let's begin by defining what is a dimensional level of reality and how is it established. A dimension is a vibratory level of conscious awareness that is created by the way we think and feel. Here on Earth, in human form, we are mainly experiencing life in the 3rd dimension with the ability to fluctuate into the 4th, 5th, and even 6th dimension. So for all of you that have explored the 5th dimension, maybe now I'm going to educate you a little bit into what the 6th dimension actually holds as well. So each dimensional level of reality is experienced by attracting and repelling situations, people, and life events to us based upon the vibrations we are emitting. The lighter the vibration, the happier we are, the more we vibrate in peace, love, gratitude, the more we attract the same. So take a moment to consider the many dimensions of awareness in human form alone that exist on this planet. Everyone here is having their own unique experience of life based on how they think and how they feel. I've often just sat in the park and been able to hear the thoughts of passers-by. Well, not actually hear their thoughts, I hear the resonance or the vibration the thought is creating within each person. every one of the passers-by is thinking in their own unique way and living the reality that befits their energetic vibratory field. Yes, there are similarities in experiences, but essentially no two persons will ever have the same energetic coding or experience of life. It blows my mind at the limitless versions of reality that there are to be had. So let's look at the third dimension. The third dimension is the seemingly solid material world where creativity manifests into form. I say seemingly because it's still made up of energy that is vibrating to the same density as you and I, which makes it appear to be solid. People who work with their hands and make things have a good connection to the 3D world. Farmers, plumbers, joiners, dressmakers, to name but a few. And when the mind is fully focused in the third dimension and aligned with the creative aspect of self, the experience is one of production and manifestation. However, there is no separation between the dimensional realms. Like the radio stations, it's just levels of awareness and, as some people say, a waking up process. So when you hear somebody saying, oh, they're still asleep, it's because they haven't expanded their awareness into the next dimensions, which I'm going to talk about shortly. So the fourth dimension is the level of reality experienced through the mind. And so many people at this time in history are living in their minds. The mind creates illusions, possibilities, horror stories, expectations, fears, and sometimes an enlarged image of reality created by the exaggeration of imagination. And these are based mainly on beliefs. The fourth dimension is largely fear-based and can create emotional disturbances based on false evidence appearing real. F-E-A-R, fear. That's false evidence appearing real. Well, my version of it anyway. So the ability to take control of the mind through meditation, chanting, singing, mindfulness will help the individual transcend and clean the vibration associated with the fourth dimension. A clean version of the fourth dimension is the creative mind, the ability to see things clearly, not based on opinion or belief. The detachment of the drama and stories that have been created through vibratory interaction. You know, when I'm saying, we are emitting a vibration and it's creating a reality. Well, if you can detach from that and realize that I'm creating these stories by the way I vibrate, then you start to clean the fourth dimension. You can truly take control of the fourth dimension when you realize that it is you that's manifesting this reality. That each person on the planet is manifesting their own reality based upon their vibration. And their vibration is mainly affected through thought and belief systems. When you see and understand this, you will realize that you can never help anyone else raise their vibration. They have to be committed to doing it by themselves. Now, as an energy worker or an energy therapist working in the quantum field, your energy will match their energy. In other words, the fact that you've kept yourself nice and light-hearted, it will bring the atoms and molecules of the person who you're treating up to your vibrational frequency and provide a buoyancy of energy for your client during a healing session. But this vibration will be short-lived within them. Every individual must be prepared to make the changes themselves to be needed to ascend their awareness into the fifth dimension, to experience the lighter, gentler, more natural vibrations. So I think what I'm trying to say here is that, we all have to take responsibility for our awareness, for our actions, for our words, for our deeds. And I cannot change somebody else or heal them, but what I can do is help them find the vibration that they need to recognize the kinder, gentler, more pure energies and feel the wellness that comes by doing this kind of work. So moving on into the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is experienced when we manage to transcend the story of the mind in the fourth dimension and become the witness. when we rise above the opinions of right and wrong, good and bad, and enter into a neutrality and acceptance of what is. When you truly understand the laws of vibration and manage to stay in harmony and wellness, maintaining full acceptance of what is occurring in your life and the world, your awareness becomes elevated. Your perception of life changes and you will eliminate the distortion of emotion, thereby finding and anchoring peace and your heaven on earth. At this vibratory realm of awareness, you will be able to communicate with beings of light. Beings that inhabit the light have either never reduced their vibration down enough to have incarnated into human form, or have incarnated and transcended the earth experience just like we are doing here through this spiritual journey. And they have gone through the illusion to attain a state of what's sometimes called nirvana, enlightenment, total purity. Now, when this is reached and they become a being of light, they are transparent. And that is exactly what we need to be at this level. We need to allow feelings, thoughts, and sensations to travel right through us, to become fluid, to become transparent. Don't hold on to anything. Allow everything to just move through us so we become softer, gentler, and in a purer state of being. Now, when we speak about the beings of light, many of you may think of angels, which a lot of people have very much faith in. And two angels that are said to have incarnated into human form and decided to stay in the fifth dimension to help us mere mortals are Archangel Sandalphon and Archangel Metatron. All the other names of the angels end in EL, and this means of God. EL means of God. So you have like Raphael, Michael, Haniel, Uriel. They all end in the letters EL, which means they're from God, a consciousness that has never ever incarnated into human form. So they really are truly pure. They're not tainted by the human experience. Now, years ago, I'll share with you, I used to teach angel classes, and I would often get very frustrated with the angels who had not incarnated, as they didn't seem to understand the conflicts we as humans have to deal with. But these beings of light do exist in a dimension of the fifth dimension where there's just purity, just love, and they don't know fear. They don't know the illusion of the mind, which is an earthly experience. So when we are able to communicate with these angels and beings of light, then we are able to get pure advice and remember how to elevate our vibration and ascend into these more beautiful, gentle realms of existence. Now, when I used to get frustrated with the angels, they would just smile at me and show me compassion because, well, they didn't know what I was going through. And their purity would always flow down into my energy field and help me to sustain the cleaner vibrations. And I would hear internally them speak to me and sort of saying to me, "It is always your choice, my darling. You can choose to stay angry or you can choose to forgive. Now the anger is hurting you, sweetheart, so let it go." And sometimes that's easier said than done, but I did learn that, low vibrations only hurt me. And when I learn and choose to forgive and recognize that we're all doing the very, very best we can with the incarnation and the personality that we have been given, then I find those gentler, more compassionate energies inside of me. And of course, they don't then damage me. I have been communicating with these extraordinary beings of light from an early age and have discovered that there are also many levels of dimensions in the fifth dimension. So not just angels, there's cosmic beings, there's beings that belong to the earth, there's fairies, there's all sorts of energies that can be found in the light, and they are all waiting there to help us. Well, not just waiting there to help us, but basically they are there should we call on them. So let's just recap. To get into the purer realms of the fifth dimension, we need to get above the story and dramas created in the fourth dimension by the mind. We need to trust and understand the process of like attracts like, and aim our thoughts, words, actions, and deeds to be initiated from the vibration of unconditional love. Easier said than done. And this is where now crystals start to help us on the ascension process. So before I go on to speaking about the crystals, I want to speak about the sixth dimension that not many people speak about, but the sixth dimension is pure truth. The sixth dimension is a dimension of fairness and justice and truth, and it does not always comply with what we as human beings have been told is truth, fairness and justice. Again, it is a vibratory reaction or karmic return, the sixth dimension. Karma is initiated by the natural spiral return of energy that is found within all life forms. In human terms, if we do a good deed, it will come back to us. We will rewards. And that's how we think. We think that, if we do a good deed, then the good deed will come back to us. However, in the sixth dimension, we learn that it's not enough to just do a good deed. It is the vibration behind the intention that is driving the return or the karma. If someone does a kind deed because they think a good person would be seen to be doing this, or they've read in the Bible that you should be doing this, or they've been told by somebody or brought up with the belief system that you have to do good things, then the vibration behind their efforts is quite weak. It is being done through the energy associated with duty, expectation, and will come back to the sender in the same format, that somebody will return the favor by doing it through duty and not doing it from that vibration of love. However, if someone is passionately driving energy through a deed, then the type of passion that has been emitted will return. Now, this is where we have to be careful in the sixth dimension, because we have to try and not send out anger, as we, for sure, will get it back. We need to be vigilant about what we project into the collective. It's really easy to emit and project anger when somebody has triggered us, but it's more difficult to make sure that we can feel the anger, allow ourselves to release it in a form that is not projecting it. So maybe write down why we are angry, go for a jog, punch a pillow, whatever you need to do to get that anger out of your energy field, rather than project it to something or someone, because it's sure to return. When awareness has been integrated into the fifth dimension and purified, you will find that you will want to do a good deed just for the feeling that it raises within you, and for absolutely no other reason. The feeling of love that arises when you smile at somebody and they smile back at you, when you open a door for someone and they thank you, the feeling that's inside is beautiful. You're doing a kind deed, and the reward is the feeling. The energy that rises within you is a life-giving, regenerating energy, and when that energy flows through your veins, you will light up and your soul will thrive. And the best thing of all is that truth, that real honest truth of I've done this purely and utterly because it makes me feel good, will return to you and attract more of the same. And people will then start to do things to you, and you have to graciously allow them to. If somebody does something, don't turn around and say, oh, I owe you, because you put yourself in a space of debt. Just allow yourself to receive and know that they're receiving too. They're receiving the gratitude and the feeling associated with the love of being able to return the karma to you. Do you know, you cannot hide in the sixth dimension. It's a dimension where you cannot lie here. Whatever is being emitting is coming straight back to you. So you can't say in the sixth dimension, I'm doing this because I love you, and you aren't feeling, because, the sixth dimension doesn't recognize it. It's about truth, fairness, and justice. Now, all of these dimensions, the third, the fourth, and the fifth and sixth, are all interrelated. There's no sort of barrier between each of them, and you won't go straight from one into the other and make your ascension step by step. It doesn't work like that. Initially, you will fluctuate in between these realities. However, the more you enter and recognize these frequencies in the different dimensions, the more you will sustain the vibration associated with it. Ideally, You want to bring those higher, cleaner dimensions back down onto the third dimension so you can experience good health, a lighter, more gentler reality, and the fifth and sixth dimension into your everyday life, where we remember that whatever we're giving out is coming back to us, even in the third dimension. So by doing this, you are actually offering a service to humanity and to the Earth's collective vibration. So I've been rabbiting on now, talking to all of you about the dimensions and the ascension process and how each dimension is interrelated. But how can crystals help? What is it that the crystals can do for us to help this spiritual process? Well, the crystals offer vibrations for us to connect to and help our soul start to remember its truth. So, in the third dimension, if you're having problems stabilizing yourself, becoming productive, and being fully here in the solid world, then just have a look at using some stones like hematite, magnesite, galena, tiger's eye. When you look at a crystal, if it looks quite dense and heavy, well, then it will help you retain your vibration in the third dimension. The fourth dimension is all about illusion. And if you look at moonstone or labradorite and move it around, it's very iridescent. So any iridescent stones are really, really good for you because they help you remove the illusion. And I think my favorite has to be labradorite because it also takes you into the sixth dimension of truth as well. So any crystals that you move around and they are iridescent. I think peacock ore is also a beautiful iridescent crystal. They help you maintain and see the truth rather than buying into any beliefs or illusions that are happening in the fourth dimension. We then move into the fifth dimension with the crystals, and we want to be looking really at a more pure vibration of love, and apophyllite, damburite, rose quartz even, kyanite, kanzite, all these beautiful crystals. Basically, if they end in ITE, they will take you into the fifth dimension, because the way I remember it is that it brings height. So when it says damburite, it's taking you up. If it says apophyllite, it's taking you into flight. Anything that ends in "ite" is very good to take you into the fifth dimension. But remember, you may need to still clean the lower dimensions of the third, fourth. Mainly the fourth at the moment is what we're cleaning our minds and helping us to see things more clearly. And when we go into the sixth dimension, the crystals that can help us here are malachite, lapis lazuli is brilliant, and again another of my favorites is cavernsite. If you've not worked with cavernsite, then you treat yourself, because it really is a beautiful stone of truth. It's not harsh, it's nice and gentle, and it has a beautiful turquoise middle to it, and the outside is a lovely blue color. So I hope this information will help you, and that you may find your inner resonance with some of the information that I presented today, and maybe use some of the crystals to help you move through the dimensions and establish a better connection with them and purify yourself. And remember to stay transparent and allow everything to flow through you. Don't hold on to grudges and upset and grief and goodness knows what else. Try to keep yourself nice and transparent like they are in the fifth dimension. So if the information has helped you, great, and if not, it may just have given you something to use to self-inquire and see what your inner being, or even your being of light, raises within you. So if you'd like to learn more about the crystals and have some help along your way on your own spiritual journey, please join us in class sometime. Visit www.British Academy of Crystal Healing, or visit us on Facebook or even on Instagram. Well, once again, I have thoroughly enjoyed sharing my truth with you. And I want to say a massive thank you to all of you for choosing to listen today. And as I said previously, I hope you find an easy journey into the higher realms, and send pure love, my darlings, out to all of you. So take care, and hopefully we may meet one day. Who knows? Take care.